Democrats are the party of racism. If you've ever had a political debate where racism was an issue, particularly being a minority, you've undoubtedly been told that the Democratic Party is the party of slavery, the party of the KKK. You've probably heard many repeats of Joe Biden's vote for me or you ain't black or something of that nature. You probably even heard a little bit of Malcolm X thrown in there during the time he warned voters about not trusting the liberal party. All of that is true. The Democrats were indeed the party of the KKK, certainly the party that was promoting slavery back in the old Confederate South. And Malcolm X did indeed speak ill of the Democrat Party. So when Trump came along suggesting he was going to make America great again, this was the pushback because some African Americans were suggesting that make America great again was some sort of an effort to take us backwards in time. And for many African Americans, the question is simple. When has America ever been great for people of color? So this is the pushback to anyone suggesting that Trump is trying to take us back to some kind of racial era or darker period in time, is that you really should be worried about the Democrats as opposed to anything Trump or a Republican is going to do to you. Why am I bringing this up? Because after all, many would suggest that racism ended hundreds of years ago. We need to get past the point where we're still seeing color because that is a bygone era. If you're simply willing to go out and put in a hard day's work and mind the law, you shouldn't have any problems no matter what your skin color is. Why do we have to continue seeing race? Well, I want you to hear a clip. This is 2025. I want you to hear this because it is indeed astonishing that someone of the political sphere is trying to propose this as actual legislation.
And now to a story that's trending right now on ABC11.com. The push to remove a Jim Crow era literacy test from the North Carolina Constitution is once again up for debate in the General Assembly. In 1970, lawmakers passed an amendment to remove the literacy test in the wake of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which banned literacy tests blocking people from voting. However, when that approved amendment went to the ballot, North Carolina voters did not ratify it. The latest effort is House Bill 44, which, if passed, would go on the elections ballot next year. Literacy tests were widely used in the South after the Reconstruction era as a way to keep black citizens from voting.
Jim Crow era literacy tests, still part of the conversation in 2025. They're having a difficult time removing this shit from the North Carolina Constitution as we speak. House Bill 44. Now remember all of the Democrats are the party of slavery, the party of Jim Crow, the party of the KKK. Who do you think in that state, which party you think is getting in the way of removing this Jim Crow era literacy test that would prohibit you from voting if you failed it? You think the Democrats in North Carolina are in favor of maintaining literacy tests in the Constitution? What do you think about that? House Bill 44. You would think that in modern times, somebody even talking about this stuff would be making it up. But nevertheless, they're having trouble removing this from the Constitution. Now, literacy tests, we've discussed this in schools and things like that, so it's not something that has been completely erased from history. A lot of people do know that they used to, during the Jim Crow era, have a test you had to pass in order to vote. But folks do not realize how difficult the test was to pass. It wasn't a test of complex formulas or a literacy test where you could actually have a grading card. It was tests in which the answers were opinions that were left up to the basically the reviewer's idea whether you passed or not. So they wouldn't ask you something like, which amendment protects your right to bear arms? They would ask you something like, what's the best reason for having a Second Amendment? which now, no matter what you put down, the person grading your answer is totally up to their opinion if you got it right or not. And they would give you a literacy test where one wrong answer means you failed. All of the answers are based on opinions of the grader. They're not based on actual statements. 2 plus 2 is 4. That never varies. They're asking you questions where the person grading the test could just interpret, well, I don't agree with that. It was all opinionated. Why would they want to bring this back in 2025? Why do you think anyone would be hesitant to remove literacy tests to vote from the Constitution in North Carolina? Now, North Carolina is indeed a red state. It is indeed a red state. But do you believe the party of the KKK, the Democrat Party of slavery in the Confederate South, the Democrat Party of the Jim Crow era in 2025, you think they're the ones that are making it hard to remove these literacy tests in North Carolina? Let me know what you think in the comments. I have my own opinion. I'll leave that reserved. I'll respond to your comments. If you get too wild, so be it. You know we don't block, ban, or censor, but it is wild that in 2025, this is still up for debate in a particular state. My guess is if it's on the Constitution in North Carolina, that shit is probably still on other states' constitutions as well. They're having a hard time getting an amendment to take this off. Are we great yet? Is America great yet? Let your boy know in the comments. As always, feel free to smash that like button and subscribe to the damn channel. See you in the next video.